Hey team is team, welcome to another home stretchy flexy workout. Today we're going to do some stuff on the roller and then we have some stretching to do as well. Without further ado, let's get into it. First part we're going to roll is the ITB, so the side of the leg. Now this can be quite invasive, so how I like to do it is have that top leg on the ground so you can put a little bit of load on this leg. Now one or two rolls up and rolls down should give you an idea of where you're going to do most of the work. So for me, it's a little bit sore towards the knee, so that's where I'm going to start. Start with a little bit of scrubbing front to back. And do a little bit of flossing, bend, and extend that leg. And if that does the trick, fantastic. If it doesn't, we can go for that contrast method we've been talking about. So squeeze the muscle as hard as you can for a few seconds. And then slowly relax and see how deep we can get into that muscle. Not very that time. Try again. Squeeze. And ease. That's better. Now let's do another spot a little bit further down. Again, a bit of scrubbing, a bit of flossing, and then we'll do a bit of contrast work. Squeezing hard and relax. That's pretty good. Much better. Alright, let's go to the other side. Now you can stay on each side as long as you want. There's no rule that you have to only do 2 spots. You can do 5 spots. If you do feel you find yourself rolling out for 30 minutes on the same spot, you're doing it wrong. It's not letting go. We need to try something else. So again, I like to do a few full rolls just to get an idea of where the magic is going to happen. I'm going to start a little bit closer to the knee this time. So that's scrubbing that front to back. It's just a low impact way of telling the muscle, hey, we're coming for you. Bend and extend. That'll make those muscle fibers contract and slide, hopefully clearing up some of the debris and gunk in there. And then let's go for the contract and relax version. Nice. Pick a different spot. Right there. And squeeze. Now if you have a real trouble relaxing, find a way to put less weight on the roller, right? So put a little bit more weight on this foot. Maybe you can try being on your hand so you have a better leverage and you don't have to put as much weight on the roller. Because the more weight is on the roller, the more that muscle is going to want to hold on and trying to stay tight so you don't get in as deep, which is a great defense mechanism, but just one that's working against us right now. Next up, we're going to do the quads. Same basic strategy. So I'll put the roller to one side so you can see it's only the one leg at a time. Now, my quads are always fun to do. And again, I'm looking for a way to leverage my position so that I don't put all the weight on there. Otherwise, I'm going to have a hard time relaxing, which is what we're after here. We're not after putting as much weight on the roller. What is the goal? The goal is to improve the quality of the muscle. So tight. it's fine to kind of go forward and backwards between scrubbing and flossing and contrasting. Let's do that again. Good. And we'll pick a spot right around there. Now, somebody asked me the other day, because I always complain about my quads, if that is because I'm training them too much or not enough, or honestly, I noticed that they were tight when I was probably 16, 17. And these foam rollers came on the market for the first time, and they put us on it in the Amsterdam team. Let's switch the other leg. And like the whole team was like not loving this. There were tears. There was a lot of whinging, a lot of begging. So I think it's just something that my body just carries a lot of tension there. As far as imbalances go, I know for myself that my hamstrings are stronger than my quads. So if anything, it is a lack of strength in the front, which I've been working on for the past 27 years. No longer now. Oh, I'm an old dude. But as long as I can maintain this sort of low-level maintenance work on it, I'm doing okay. Again, it doesn't stop me from doing anything. It's just when I start stretching and when I start rolling them, I know that, okay. But that's good as well. It gives me that reminder that I should be doing this. So I try to do a little bit of work on the spots that I know are tight every day, which for me are calves, ankles area, then the quads, lower back, and lats. So I know that those spots are going to be the areas where I'm going to need to focus most of my attention on, which helps because it just means I can do a little bit of work, like 5 minutes of work, hit all those spots, and just have done a little bit of maintenance. It's much better to have 2-3 spots to do than to have this massive routine you're trying to do every day. It doesn't work. I've tried it. Alright, if you want to stay on that longer, you can, of course. Nobody's judging you, but the rest of us, we're going to go into our lats. Now, the lats are those big muscles that actually attach at the front of the arm, then circle around, and they go all the way down are incorporated in the lower back. So it's a massive muscle. I want you to start right in the armpit. So put your armpit on top. We're pretty much in a side lying position, and then we're going to just start scrubbing front to back. And then move down a little bit and start scrubbing front to back. Now if you hit that side of the rib cage here and that's sore, it's also a great place to spend some time. And one more spot. Scrubby, scrubby, scrubby. Now we can do the flossing here as well. We're just going to take that arm down and all the way over in that overhead position. You can do that 3 or 4 times. And then we can do our contrast method by flexing the lat. If you have a hard time doing it, just drive this arm into the ground and you should feel that muscle coming on. And relax. That's actually pretty good. Flex. And relax. Not too bad. Let's do one more spot. Again, you can do multiple contractions on each spot, that's absolutely fine. But if you don't need it, why do it? I'll do one more here. And we'll switch to the other side. So the idea is that over time, put the armpit on the roller and do some scrubs. Over time, you get this sort of user manual for your body. Like, what does your body need most of the time? Because honestly, if I would go and, let's say, play footy with the boys, my body's going to be sore and tight in different places, and then I need to explore those places. But for me, I need to keep my ankles mobile, I need to keep this loose. Lower back is more of a warm-up thing for me. And then my lats tend to get a little bit of tightness in there as well. So if you get to the point where you know, like, okay, this is what I always need to loosen up, it's just gonna make it so much more easier because you don't have to think. You just go, okay, I'm just gonna do these 3 things or these 4 things and be done with it for today. As always, just explore that position. Maybe the tightness is a little bit more forward, maybe it's a little bit more back, maybe you need to be a little diagonal on the roller. Let's find your magic spot. All right, I think that's enough rolling for today. We're gonna move into our stretching portion. Now we're gonna start, we'll do most of the stuff with a chair, or in this case, a bench today. What we're gonna do a great stretch for the upper back, thoracic spine. We're gonna put both our elbows on the bench, hands behind the head or in between the shoulder blades, and then push the chest towards the ground as much as you can. So, elbows on the bench, hands behind the head, big breath into the stomach, and then push that chest down. Check for yourself if you can keep taking that full breath in every time. Now, part of the structures we're stretching are the lats. The triceps are also involved. Now, minimum time to hold this would be about a minute. You can go up to 3 or 4. I wouldn't go much longer than that. Just from an absolute boredom perspective. All right. Now you can hold that stretch longer if you want. You don't have to. Now, quick check-in. How does that feel? Does that feel good? Does that feel, can't feel a difference at all. If you cannot feel a difference, if you don't go like, ooh, that feels looser, you probably don't have to do that stretch. I keep coming back to this, but if you're doing a stretch, it should have a reason that you're doing it. not just do it because I've been told to stretch. For me, I can feel the difference. Like my shoulders feel looser now than when I started on the stretch. So I know for me, that's a pretty good one. But for me, if, for instance, the old Cobra stretch, the ab stretch, nah, does absolutely nothing for me. Like I don't feel, if anything, I feel a little bit more jacked up in the lower back afterwards than I do before I started. So it's just not a great stretch for me, and that's fine. Now next, we're going to do a chest stretch using the bench as well. How this is going to work, we're going to put one hand on the bench, one hand on the ground. Then we're going to rotate, push that shoulder down to the ground while we're looking over to the other side. The stretch should be through here. The one thing I want you to avoid is that shoulder popping out and forward. It's just the way your body is cheating because you're shortening that chest muscle. You're just hanging into your shoulder, which is already very flexible in that position. You don't need to stretch it. So drive that shoulder blade down, drop the shoulder to the ground, and look over to the other side. Big breaths. Should get this in the chest. And switch to the other side. Now I'll demonstrate how you do this if you don't have a bench. You can just switch to the other side on the bench if you do have one. If you don't have a bench, we still want to keep that shoulder down. We're going to put the chest towards the ground, and then you're going to kind of push yourself up on this side. But again, we're in that down shoulder position. We do not let that shoulder rotate forward. Yeah? So, chest down, push yourself open, and look at the opposite side to where you're stretching. So if you're stretching your left hand, you should be looking at the wall on the right. All right, our last stretch for today is the couch stretch. Now the couch stretch is the one where you have one foot on the bench, the other foot is forward, and you come and sit nice and upright. Now what I want to make sure you are aware of is your lower back position. I want that neutral. I don't want to end up here. Because again, now the movement is coming from your lower back instead of from the hip. Now if you don't feel a stretch, just move your knee further back. Not an issue for me. I can feel it. I can feel it. But again, this is one of those stretches that after I do it, I just feel such a difference in my body. Now, easy way of getting out of the stretch, put your hand on the ground, rotate off. My preferred way of getting into the stretch is from a standing position. It just feels easier for me, but you do it however you want. Now, have a look or be aware of what that lower back is doing. Should be pretty neutral through here. If we get to that big arch, we know we're doing something wrong. There we go. So I can actually today feel a bit of difference between my right and my left. My left has a more range of motion. So this side that I'm doing now feels a lot easier. So what I would do is stretch this side less. Yeah, I want that stiffer side to get a little bit more attention. The other thing I might do on a normal occasion is just go back to this side and stretch it again. Give it a little bit more attention because obviously it is in need of it for whatever reason. All right, guys, you again may come out of your stretch. That is our rolling and stretching done for today. I hope it felt good. I hope your body feels a little bit better now. Take a couple of minutes to check in, like what felt like it was doing something for you, what felt like it was not doing something for you, and then put that in your backpack as a tool to use. Now, if nobody's told you today, you are an absolute legend. I'll talk to you tomorrow.